What is good, everyone? This is James, the Ghost Set Killer, and this is Put On the Glass podcast. We are mobile, so if this looks a little different, then I guess bear with us. But we have a returning guest, famous podcaster, worldwide known. Who do we have?
Micki Woods.
Yay! And you host
Yay.
the Body Bangin podcast, correct?
Yes, the Body Bangin podcast.
And it focuses around.
The main issues, the hot topics in the collision industry.
Yeah, which has a lot of overlap with what I do, the auto glass industry. Watching your
Yeah.
shows here lately, the lack of technicians, that was a really hard hitting one for me. I was like, oh, okay. So I'm noticing and I'm seeing reports of like body shops, like your larger nation body shops, and then some of the smaller ones bringing glass. I don't want to really say back in house because some of them have never had it. Some of them have. Is that a trend that you're seeing on your side or rumors about that?
Yeah, actually, it's quite interesting because claim count is down nationwide for collision repairs. And so I have shops calling me all the time. And really, one of the things we talk about is not only how we can market their shops to get more business in, but what else can they do to add on to the current services that they're offering. So that is inclusive of glass. That silly gloose.
Yeah.
There's ADAS calibrations, there's mechanical work potentially that they're trying to bring in-house to maximize that if they have the space, and then the glass component. So ceramic coating has gotten really popular. So a lot of different add-ons to try to make more value adds and more opportunity to sell a job. So absolutely 100% glass is definitely one of those things that they may not have wanted to even think about it before. It's just easier to sublet it out, but the tide is turning and more people are not only just bringing it as part of their services, but also offering even mobile glass repair, going so far as to actually get a truck or a van or, whatever, and doing it mobile, which is quite interesting too. So some of these shops are really leaning in hard and going all out with it.
And one of my big questions when body shops are starting to include glass is, uh, are you going to bring in a solid technician or are you going to have one of your other technicians, body technicians, cover both roles? Or are you going to have just, because if they're not, there's no glass to pour, are they going to be doing body work? Are they going to be sweeping? Are they going to be like, so I guess
Right?
that's kind of like a business decision they have to make. With the lack of technicians on the body side and the lack of trained technicians and qualified technicians in calibrations, ADAS calibrations, and glass. Um, do you see the merger of schooling as well? Like the body tech schools are going to start offering glass technicians as well, or is it something that they're just going to have to train in house?
I don't know if the technical schools are starting to bring glass repair. Not that I've heard of yet. Maybe there are a few, but not across the board. It's not as prevalent as maybe it will be in the future. It seems to me like they're typically bringing in a glass tech that maybe they can teach to do some basic things around the shop for downtime, but already has glass experience. That seems to be the case, or sending them off somewhere to take a class, who knows, that type of thing. But one thing I think you learn really quick in glass that you all know and all the listeners know is how complex it is. And it's not just installing a piece of glass anymore. I mean, it is now highly technical. And so shops that start to dabble in this, I always warn them ahead of time. This is not just some easy peasy thing. Somebody's going to you can get your detailer and just pop them over to start doing glass repair. Like this is super complex. So I think shops have an understanding of that, which up to this point has made them not want to deal with it.
Hmm.
But now the lack of work combined with the legal ramifications, if something goes wrong with the sublet company, they might as well do it in house and they're responsible for it all. But like you said, the big piece of it is getting the proper training, purchasing the tools, all of that kind of stuff, and then trying to find somebody that can actually do it and do it well, which
Yeah.
is always the issue, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, it is because there's a lot of glass, I guess, for lack of a better word, installers. They're not technically technicians. They're a chuck in a truck, and they just kind of go at it and they offer the lowest price because bottom line matters to shops. Bottom line matters to just about every account you're servicing. And if you take pride in your work, that work costs money. The
Yeah,
old saying of good work, wait, cheap work isn't good and good work isn't cheap,
right.
kind of thing. But it plays into the bottom line of the body shops when job count is down. And then, like you said, the legal ramifications of having just who knows come through, put your glass in and not actually take the time to understand that. I'm surprised with talking to glass professionals. They don't understand the basic iCar fixed glass to where the body shop, you got to ask them to not paint over the e coat. Um,
Mm,
and if
yeah,
they do paint over the e-coat, then you actually have to go back and take it down. And who can stop at the e-coat when you're sanding? So then it's got to go almost to bare metal, or if it
right.
doesn't, then you got to bring it back up to where it needs to be safety levels wise, because the chain is only as strong as its weakest link. Kind of, you understand this because you're a
Yep,
professional, but like I don't, the amount of glass technicians that don't understand that is kind of surprising. So from a body shop standpoint, it makes sense that they would want to start bringing it in house to close that liability window a
yep,
little bit. Um, but I mean, they're going to struggle like a lot of our shops do is finding qualified technicians as well. Um,
yeah. That seems to
do
be
you,
the biggest issue.
do you find that on the body side? Are you running into quality technician problems there? I know you had a show about it, right? You had a show about it.
Yes, I've had a
Yeah.
few, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's hard to find not only qualified people, but then to keep them because everybody is looking for qualified people. So you've got people trying to poach your good team members and offering them more money or, what is it that you're being offered? And I actually just did a podcast about this the other day is most technicians, whether it's a glass technician or a body tech or whatever they are, a mechanical tech, they really want to be supported, and the best way to support your technicians, yeah, of course, they wanna be financially compensated well, but really, the best way to support them is give them training because if they understand what they're doing and they can do it really well, there's that pride in their work. And for all of us, we're all at the end of the day, our human soul is looking for purpose in life. It's
Mhm.
just the way that we're wired. So, one of the podcasts I was doing was with a gentleman, and he actually built out this really cool tool that helps technicians get the knowledge that they need when it comes to auto body repair because there's so many unknowns out there. And I'm sure it's the same way in the glass world. There's just a lot of things you're just not sure. And if you don't know, who do you call? I don't
Mhm.
know, and maybe that guy doesn't know or that gal doesn't know. But one thing that he said in interviewing all these different technicians and working with technicians from all over the globe was the biggest thing they wanted was proper training. So that's something to be thinking about if you have a glass business is what kind of training are you providing on a regular basis for your people because they may complain about classwork and all that kind of stuff but they really do want to know at the end of the day how to do it right. And there's such huge value in that. And oftentimes managers and owners, we're just trying to get the job done. And it's
Yeah.
like, enough, just do it. But he had mentioned that that was a really big thing when they interviewed on the scope of what's important to you. Obviously, pay. You want to be paid a good, valuable rate, but people will not leave a shop for 25 cents more an hour before they would. If they get offered 25 cents more an hour, it's not the 25 cents. It's if they're going to leave for 25 cents, you're missing something. You're missing some core pieces, even a dollar an hour, whatever it may be. And that core piece is that training. So it's interesting that we talked about that a little bit before that where do you get the training? How do you enroll? And then a lot of people trying to decide, is this something I want to invest in for my people? Well, they feel that you've invested in them. And so there's that loyalty too. So, um, yeah, it's quite interesting the value of getting good people, but then retaining good people and having that good culture to take care of them and make them feel taken care of. And it's oftentimes not things that we would think it would be. As a former shop owner myself, I always thought, well, I've got to pay the best.
Mhm.
And then it was like, and then you got benefits now coming into it, health insurance benefits and that kind of thing. Now that's really important for people. That was never important to people before, not as much as it is now. So
Mhm.
the landscape is changing for what technicians and just people in general are looking for in a job, and especially in our industry. Like another podcast I did, I was told that the collision industry has the highest suicide rates. It's like,
Oh,
yeah, collision and automotive as a whole umbrella. Well, glass folks, you're in that
yeah.
category. Like, it's a stressful, anxiety-filled job, and they were saying it's because it's mostly type A men that don't wanna say that they have an issue, and so they just push, push, push. So, we really, the world is changing, things are shifting, and we've gotta be looking at our teams differently, and I feel like I just went down a total bunny trail there, but I think it's valuable, right?
Yeah, it's very valuable. We spoke to culture, your podcast on culture, or the gentleman that was speaking about culture. Um, so, one piece of advice that I got from what you were just talking about, and I'm sure it's the same in the collision world, is if you have a high turnover rate or technicians just willing to leave you, I don't really think, as well as what kind of what you said, is that don't just look at the bottom line of I need to pay the most. I need to change my culture inside of my shop. What value am I bringing them? Whether it's giving them a 4-day work week to where they have a longer weekend with their family or a day off through the week so they can enjoy their quality of life if they don't have a family and they want to make a bunch of money, but they also want to have hobbies, or even if they're the workaholic type, feed into that. Like know your people kind of is what I'm getting from what you're saying to help your
Yeah.
culture to retain them. Is that I mean, you're seeing that on your side, obviously, with what you have, and I hear that a lot with the technicians and owners I talk to in the auto glass world. Is the turnover rate's pretty high because they can bounce around now, even with the lower job count.
Mhm.
Because the job count has went down in auto glass as well. I'm not sure what's going if it's like an insurance problem, like they're not wanting to pay out.
Right.
I know people are still getting in accidents, and glass is still breaking.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
is it a priority? Because or is ADAS just that good to where the actual you got to start charging more for your work because of the fact that ADAS has brought the level of collisions and glasswork and everything down because they're not seeing the accidents. Is that something you're seeing? Is that a factor as
You know
well?
what? That is a highly debated topic. So it's funny you brought that up. There are some people that are confident that that is why there are less claims. I guess it wouldn't be the claim count number. We'd have to look at the actual accident numbers. And I don't know how accurate all of that is. So I'm sure ADAS comes into play with safety features, keeping people from getting into accidents that they may have gotten into before. I don't think with the big shift that we have, that is the key factor in that personally. I think it's a contributing factor, but I don't think it's the biggest factor. I think part of the ADAS thing, it actually makes vehicle repair so much more expensive.
Yeah.
I mean, like just in your world, just a windshield probably tripled in cost over the last few years with all these ADAS components inside of the glass and then having to mount it properly and calibrate it properly. So a repair that maybe was $5,000 7 years ago is now $15,000 because of ADAS. So isn't it funny that although ADAS is prohibiting people from getting into accidents, if you get into an accident, now it's such a technological repair because of all the ADAS equipment,
Because yeah.
it costs more. It's like, make it make sense. Yeah.
Well, something else that, and this is kind of, it's not really glass related, but it kind of is for the glass shops that service body shops. I'm hearing rumor that because of the availability of parts, the expense of parts, that the actual insurance companies are taking total losses more so than repairing, and
Ugh.
that'll actually drop the number of replacements and repairs down because of the fact that they're just totaling the vehicles out and they're going to a salvage yard or to whatever else could potentially be that the fate of that vehicle back to the owner to get a salvage title. Or I know it's called something different everywhere else, but in Ohio it's called a salvage title.
Yeah.
um
Mhm.
so like I mean, is that something else? Is availability of parts driving these numbers down as well?
Yeah, I mean, the total loss issue is a massive issue in the industry because insurance companies don't want to pay out. So they're just totaling the vehicle. And that negatively impacts Literally everyone. I feel like the only person that wins is maybe the insurance company, and I evidently they've run their reports from high above and they've deemed that this is a money saver. But I don't think it's beneficial for anybody. I mean, nobody can make money on the repair. The customer is out of their vehicle. Now they have to find something completely different. They may not even be compensated properly for the vehicle they lost because of the value that's been put on that vehicle when it's been in an accident. So it's now become a total disaster. So the number of cars being totaled across the board has gone way up with
Mhm.
insurance companies. And then we've got the insurance company pushback to which we've always had that just continues to get worse with them not wanting to allow shops to repair the vehicle per the OE repair procedures. And that's like a whole nother ball of wax.
Oh, that and a lot of these, insurance companies that are coming out to they're using AI to estimate, the cost of a labor or a cost of a part or a cost of a glass replacement, and it's because I know I'm not a shop owner, obviously. I'm a trainer, and before that, I was a technician. But the role I played in my past company as a technician was I was the go-to guy, and the body shops they couldn't pay us because it's like, well, they're telling me that this calibration is only should pay at half hour. Where did they come up with that? Oh, well, their AI estimating software, and it's like, okay, let's get
Yeah.
some real world statistics in here, man. Like that AI bot learned what they wanted it to learn, so it's
Yeah,
kind of
right. Who trained that AI, bro?
yeah, I know.
Ah, yeah, it's brutal. The fact that we don't have eyes on the vehicle anymore. I feel like COVID was the biggest excuse for the insurance company to just pull the people off the ground, and they had already started that. And so that just allowed them to push more into this and make it more acceptable. And it's really not acceptable. You have to have eyes on the vehicle. I understand there's certain circumstances where you can't, but and for a collision repair, you've gotta be able to see it. Pictures don't do it justice. And then you're dealing with folks that are not professionally trained to know
Mm,
how to repair a vehicle. And they're going to tell you you can't do that. We're not going to pay for that repair, or we're not going to pay for the repair the way you're saying it needs to be repaired. And maybe Ford's saying it should be repaired that way, but we've decided that's not the way it should be repaired, so we're not going to pay your prices. And it's like, who's coming up with this stuff? It's just
yeah.
bonkers.
Yeah, I watched a video, well, it was a reel one time, and this is roofing, but it kind of translates into what we're talking about. Is the roofer brought the insurance estimator out there, and he said, "Oh, you just need to replace this part of the shingles." And the guy was like, "Well, no, the whole thing needs replaced." And then he was like, "Well, no, just this one." And the guy's like, "Well, how do I get that up?" Well, I'm not the expert. I'm not the one. Well,
Yeah,
I'm the
yeah.
expert. I'm telling you, all this has to come off for that to go. No, you
Right.
have to. Yeah, it was such a big thing, and it's like the collision industry and even the auto glass industry when we're dealing with the insurance companies, which we're dealing with TPAs, third party administrators, and they're telling us what we can and can't do per OE procedures, just like getting OE glass for an ADAS part. It's like, you have to put in this aftermarket part that chances are it might not calibrate, and then if it doesn't calibrate 2 times, then you can get the OE part. But we're not paying you for your labor 3 times. We're only gonna pay for
Right.
the glass. And then we're not even gonna pay for your
Yeah.
urethane 3 times. We're not even gonna pay for this 3 times. And we're not gonna pay for the calibration 3 times. We're only gonna pay when the calibration
Yes.
goes through. We're not gonna pay for your attempts. This is the calibration when it goes through. And we'll only pay for the OE part after you've tried. And we gotta eat that cost because we can't return that glass because it's been installed. So
That's right. Yeah.
no distributor is going to return it. So now we've just ate like 3 pieces of glass total with it. You get it. You understand. You guys deal with the same thing. The
Yeah.
hidden structural
Abs
damage that happens in your world that they want you to pull a panel that metal retains memory.
Oh
But
my gosh.
yeah. So it's just insane
It makes you
how much they cut.
wonder it makes you wonder what the general public would think about this if they were actually educated. And I'm sure as glass techs, you try to educate your people, your customers on the importance of using glass made by the manufacturer and not aftermarket things. And the consumer is so used to being sold that they look at us almost like we're the bad guy because there's so much trust in the insurance company because they've got all these wonderful athletes and movie stars and their commercials. So they're to be trusted. And we're just saying this because we want to make more money. And it makes you wonder if the general public knew what we knew and accepted it for fact because it is, how much pushback we would actually start to see. And I think that's what it would take for things to start shifting because they're the policy holder. The body
Mhm.
shop isn't, the glass company isn't. We don't owe, it's not our, that's not our job. It's between the policy holder and the insurance company. That's your deal. And oftentimes when people are informed and it's in a trusting situation, those folks go to bat for their own selves and the insurance company will listen when the customer will go to bat for their own selves. But just like you guys, we'll go to bat for our customers and we get nowhere because we have no leverage. They have the leverage. We're not the consumer. The consumer is the person that got into an accident. So yeah, I would be really curious. I think that the general public would be incensed when they found out how unsafe the insurance companies are letting that vehicle back on the road again and putting your family back into it.
Yeah, and just like their statement of like condition parts, so that
Yeah,
gives them
right.
the uh, power to put used junkyard parts on something that
Yeah,
they have no clue how that vehicle was treated. They have no clue the care that was taken to that vehicle. They have no clue exactly what the quality is putting on there. Oh, but and what makes me so mad is when you're standing there with a customer and you're on the phone with the third party administrator that's going to bat for the insurance company, and they tell the customer, well, because you show them the position statement from Honda, from Ford, from
yes,
whoever,
right.
that your vehicle's equipped with the calibrate ADAS feature, so you need to have an OE piece of glass. We recommend. That's another thing. It's wording.
Oh,
It's
oh,
recommend. It's
yeah,
recommend that it's done,
right.
not required. So
Kills
then
me.
that gets in it, and it's like, well, you can have that OE piece of glass, but you have to pay the difference.
Right.
Well, no, I already have to pay my deductible. Why am I having to pay the difference for what my vehicle came with? Like, I want it restored to the way it was prior to the accident or the breakage. And I'm trusting qualified professionals to bring it back to that level. But if the parts aren't there, it will never be to that level. But you're telling me I have to pay more than my deductible because it's an OE part because you have to pay. Like, and they
Yeah,
get upset. The customer gets upset, but not at the insurance company. They're upset at
right.
you for wanting to charge more than what the
Yes,
aftermarket part costs. So you're right.
right.
The education for the public is not there, and that's by design, I feel. I feel that's by and it
Oh,
is
yeah,
by design. It's by
a
design.
100%.
Yeah, it's by design yeah, so, um, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I spoke to my friend, a few months back. He owns Seven Step ADAS, Joe Man Auto Group, and basically he feels that within 5 years, it's gonna be an because of the low job count, the way things are going, and, the lack of qualified help, we're going to see more and more and more all-inclusive shops. They do mechanics, they do tires, they do alignments, they do oil changes, they do glass, they do body
Mm,
work, they do everything, and we're gonna see more and more of those popping up. Is that a
mm.
trend that you believe is also going to happen?
It'll be interesting. There's so many people with different ideas out there. I see shops trying to merge into that where they're wanting to hold more of those services in house. But I feel like that's so much farther away. Maybe I'm wrong. I feel like 5 to 7 years is a little too soon. Our industry moves really slowly.
Mhm,
So I would be surprised if we had the majority of shops doing that in 5 to 7 years. I could be wrong. I will tell you though, I am part of some dealership groups where I'll listen to speakers that speak to dealership groups that own body shops. They seem to think that dealerships are really going to be what explodes with all of this, the issues that are having because of what you're talking about, keeping everything in under one house or one roof. That the power is actually going to shift, power meaning buying power, will
mhm,
shift to the dealerships because they already have service. They already do glass sometimes. They're already
mm,
doing ADAS, supposedly. They're selling the car. Some of the dealerships have body shops. So we're actually seeing more dealerships adding the body shop component to it and potentially then like the glass component because they're already structured to be so front forward heavy because they
Mhm.
sell the car. Then they've got the service. Now they just have all the services. So that's something quite interesting to think about to see if, and who knows? I mean, I don't have a little
Yeah.
genie I can rub the bottle and ask him, but so similar to what your friend was mentioning,
Mhm.
it's an interesting thought. We'll have to see how it goes and how long it'll take to get there, but I definitely can see where it's heading that way. I don't think it will be as quickly as that, but I do think dealerships are hopping on that bandwagon because they have the money to be able to do that much more quickly than your typical independent body shop, right?
Yes, and, also they have a little bit of it. I know they're franchises, okay? So it's not the
Right.
vehicle manufacturer. Listeners understand this, but if anybody who's not a professional listens to this, your dealership is not the vehicle manufacturer. They are a
Yes.
franchise that could some or should be trained by the vehicle manufacturer, but may not be. But
True.
do you see, because of that shifting, because of the slower right to repair, dealer information being released slower, giving these dealerships the upper hand, that'll handicap us in the aftermarket space? Because like already when it comes to ADAS, they're equipping these vehicles with extra gateways, and you don't have
Right.
the OE licensing until later on, where, well, send it to the dealership. So if they just
Right.
slow that process down to for the right to repair OE licensing service information to be released so aftermarket companies can work on these vehicles, is that the way it's going to the dealerships because they are handicapped in the industry like that, do you think?
That'll be interesting. I mean, I would really hope not because I think ultimately at the end of the day, the manufacturers do understand the importance of taking care of the shop so that the shops can repair the vehicle properly because it's their customer and that car is still one of their cars. And if the shop doesn't repair their car, let's say it's a Jaguar, if they don't fix that Jaguar very well and they get back into it, they're less likely to purchase that type of vehicle again. So the manufacturers do have some vested interest making sure that it is getting repaired and done well everywhere. Obviously, the certified shops get priority, and I understand that you have to be sponsored by a dealership. So maybe there'll be some gatekeeping there. Um, it would be nice, I think, if the manufacturers just oversaw all of this better, that they had a better
Mhm.
finger on the pulse to make sure that it actually was being done properly, because then there would be more value in being certified. Um,
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's, yeah, I'm certified, but are you really any different? Right now, nobody knows really how different it makes you, and because the auditing and the testing and all of that kind of stuff is not as good as it should be. Yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting. I really and we need the manufacturer to be involved in that.
Mhm.
I think.
I agree, and it kinda like before I refer to Tesla because they like to keep
Yep.
everything in-house. They hold, like, I understand that the patents are free for everybody to go do. Elon did that, but, like, they hold all of their repair information super tight, and you had to be a certified shop to
Yes.
buy Tesla parts, which
Right.
we were for a while. Now that's kind of went by the wayside, and they've actually brought glasswork back in house and their body work back in house to a point. But and so I didn't know if that may be a trend other manufacturers may see. Now I do know with Ford's CEO coming out and saying, "Hey, we don't have the skilled technicians, so they don't have the manpower to service all the vehicles." So slowing down service information is hurting them because they can't service the vehicle. So I get your point. I see your point,
Yeah.
and respect that it's a very knowledgeable point. But I mean, like I do know sometimes when it's coming to ADAS equipment, like you have to pay to get extra things to get past this other gateway to be able to calibrate something they're telling you you have to calibrate.
Yeah.
Nissan is really big about it right now, and then it was super hard to even be able to statically calibrate a Tesla for many years. You could go in, and the driver could even go in and recalibrate their system, but to actually check the pitch, you had to it was statically it was a whole thing. Now Autel finally can do it. I'm sure the other ones will catch up. The other scanners and everything will catch up. So I didn't know if that may be something that they were leaning toward was bringing everything in house. But if they don't have the manpower, how are they going to do it? So you're right; they do need us. They need us to lift them on their shoulders.
Well, and isn't it interesting that people so I think everybody thinks it's gonna be easy until they do it.
Hmm.
So, an example, when I owned my auto body shop, I was a body shop for a large dealership group, and so I had multiple lines of vehicles. Well, they decided when the last recession hit in, like, 2007, that they'll just open up their own body shop because why sublet the labor out to my shop? They'll open up their own, they can service their own vehicles. It was a huge crash and burn for them because these corporations think it's going to be so easy. We'll just do it all in house. And it's a flop because they have no idea what they're doing. Even when they're trying to bring in good people, it's still hard because they don't have the processes set up. They're really just learning so many things on the fly. So it's interesting, like you mentioned, Tesla bringing in Tesla body shops and whatnot. Tesla's very difficult to work with on the body shop side. And so I almost laughed, like, yeah, deal with your own self. That'll be interesting. Let's see how that flushes out. So sometimes I think they're going to have to go these directions to figure out how bad it is before they
Hmm.
backtrack and make it better. So we'll see. Time will tell, right? But
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I would like to see another explosion, like kind of what happened with ADAS for all of us, because ADAS, COVID did a number for just busy because it took our normal. Because, like I used to say back in the day, we could set our vacations and our watches by when we were going to be busy and slow in auto glass.
Right,
Well,
yeah.
2019, 2020 hit and everything kind of shot through the roof with us. And ADAS was a
Mhm.
huge component of that. More
Yeah.
people started to, so that was a huge component. More vehicles were equipped with it and different things. Well, now we're seeing the end of 25 and so far into 26. Well, majority of 25 and into 26, we're getting back to those pre-COVID levels of work. And it's actually hard for a lot of shops to adjust. Um,
Mm.
what is one bottom line metric that shops can improve that you know of right off the bat, being an expert owner, to help them stay in business through this slow time?
Oh, one of the hugest thing well, I'm a marketing agency, so I'm gonna be biased.
Yeah.
But I will tell you, they have to be marketing. They have to, and they've got to be relevant because if you gotta go where the customers are. And oftentimes shops think that the person calls their insurance, they file a claim, they tell them which the insurance company tells them which shop to go to, and that's it. And there's no break in that process. There's actually a big break in that process. A lot of people are going online, they're doing their own research. They don't want to file an insurance claim because they don't want to get dropped. They don't want to, pay their deductible, or they don't want their dollar amount, their claim dollar amount. What am I trying to say?
Their
I don't know what I'm
premium.
trying. Their
Yeah, their premium.
premium,
Yeah,
that's the
go up.
word. Bada
Yeah.
bing. Their premiums to go through the roof. So it's quite interesting that most people, not most or all, but a lot of people are going to Google to find shops and to find repair, glass repair also. So I understand, like, from the glass side, you guys are typically you have relationships with potentially dealerships, body shops, all different types, potentially fleet work. There's all types of ways for glass guys to get business. But people also go to Google to search for glass repair. And I know because
Hmm.
we have body shops that do glass repair and we help them show up on Google for those things. And so I know the searches are there. So I would say for the biggest thing for folks to embrace is marketing and recognizing that you have to be visible. If you're not where the prospective customers are, you're not going to get chosen. They're going to choose somebody else. And that's for collision centers, glass, mechanic shops, whatever. So it's always know what your visibility is. And if you're not fishing in that pond, somebody else is, and they're getting those leads. And when you're slow, you need as many at bats as you can get. So I would say the biggest thing that all businesses can do is marketing to make sure that you are putting yourself out there and that you are a choice for somebody. Because if you're not showing up on Google anywhere and people are going to Google, they're not gonna choose you because they can't find you. You don't wanna be
Hmm.
the best shop that nobody knows about. That's the dumbest thing ever, right?
Oh my goodness, that is the greatest slogan ever. You're the best shop nobody knows about.
Yeah.
That is the greatest slogan for advertising that I've ever heard is don't be the best shop that no one's ever heard of. And do
Yeah,
you feel that going away from social media marketing and focusing more guerrilla style in your area via Google, potentially radio spots that in your the radio stations in your area, potentially like a Roku ads or a one of the other streaming services ads that allow you to dial into your zip code, because social media is such a wide berth as opposed to people that can see your stuff.
true.
What type of visibility do you think would be best for them?
Okay, so I could talk about all of those things. So radio's tricky because just like social media, people only need our services, glass collision, whatever, when they need us. We're an on-demand business. It's not like they need shoes that they wear every day. It's not food. It's something that they only need us right when they need us. So we don't necessarily want to be paying to have an ad showing on, let's say, playing on a radio station all the time because 90% of those people don't need glass repair. So, yeah, it's brand awareness, which there's value in brand awareness. But unless you're in a really small market where everybody kind of knows everybody, you maybe got a catchy jingle or something. In very certain situations, specific situations, that can work. But typically, that's not going to be very big for ROI to get a return on your investment. Same thing for social media. You can put out ads all day, but most people seeing those ads are going to cross right past it because they don't need it. So that's why Google's so powerful in our industries, in the automotive industries, because we know that they need that because they're searching for those words. They're searching for those keywords. So we're able to then show them an ad because we only want to market to them when they need us, ideally. They say, like, you should be marketing to people before they ever need you, but they don't care about us until they need us. If you think about it, not in our industry, in
Mhm.
others, maybe. But in our industry, I don't want to have to think about getting my transmission blowing. Don't educate me on that. I don't want to know. I don't want to think about it until it happens, right? So go where the people are and go where there's high intent searching happening so you can meet them at their time of need. And those are your high value customers that you're going to get in and get calls. And that's where you're going to get the biggest bang for your buck.
Okay. What about like your local sports teams and things? And the only reason why I say that is because today we went to a local coffee shop where we're actually hosting some training locally, and we were branded. And the actual barista was like, "Hey, my son kicked my windshield from the inside. It's broken. I might need your services." So then it's like, well, we were branded. If we weren't
Yeah.
branded, she wouldn't have noticed that and wouldn't even re- recalled to her that she actually needs us. Is
Yeah.
that something that we should be investing in? Is more of our brands with our technicians wearing our stuff in public, potentially baseball teams, football teams, and I say baseball because foul balls break a lot of glass.
True. Yes, actually, I think the community driven marketing is really powerful. And that's something that it takes time and it takes effort. So most shops don't want to do it. They'd rather pay a company like me and do it digitally. But really one of the big great ways is to get involved in the community because you figure most people make decisions emotionally, not actually logically. It's emotionally. What is it? 70/30, 70% of it is emotional, 30% is logical. And one of the most impactful things we can do to impact people emotionally is to be around families, kids, community, that type of thing. So that's why just putting up a banner at a softball field, yeah, put it up. There's value in that because it's brand awareness. If you've got one up on the softball field, the baseball field, great. And you're in the yearbook with an ad, fantastic. But show up because you need that person to person connection so that they see you. So I love the we're wearing the shirts, we're talking to you, you're making that community connection. If there's a car show in the area, go there, rep your brand, participate, get a little booth, meet the people, bring your dog because people love animals, stuff like that. So those are great to get involved in the community and it's feel good. It's a feel good thing and it's nice to give back to the community anyway. And then when they are going to choose somebody, they want to choose you because they feel like there's a sense of knowing, even though they don't know you,
Yeah.
you've connected in that way. So, yeah,
Yeah.
totally valuable.
Okay. So that's great, great to know. I love the get out there. Don't just get your name in front of people, get yourself behind your
Yes.
name in front of people. So, all right. So the action for the listeners. So get out there, hit the streets. My question for any of my listeners, if you want to DM me or hit me up on Facebook, or you know how to get a hold of the Put 'em on the Glass podcast, is do you feel that that style marketing is worth your time? Also, Micki, if we was to have some of our Auto Glass listeners call your service, how
Yeah.
would they get a hold of you for your marketing expertise?
Well, a few different ways. So they can go to our website. It's actually Collision Center Marketing right now, collisioncentermarketing.com, but we help anybody in the automotive industry. So we're going to be rebranding soon because we help out everybody. They can also email me at Micki@MickiWoodsMarketing.com. But the best thing to do is go to the website and then you can book a time on my calendar there and we'll just do a free call and chat about what your needs are, where you're at, what you're up to, what are you looking to do, and create a strategy for you. And even if it's something that I can't personally help you with, like a service that we do, I do a lot of calls where I just talk through things with people, give them like a little free coaching. Hey, I'd recommend you do this. Okay, you told me about that. Maybe that's not the best place to spend your time and money. Maybe this is. So that's always an option too, but they can book a free call with me right on my website.
Perfect. And check out the Body Bangin podcast.
Of course.
Because of course, and helps us with keeping our ear to the street and how things are changing. As auto glass techs, like we talked about, the body shops are starting to bring more and more in. Could potentially be employment for you, but it also can be a way as a reputable shop to go in and just say, "Hey, let me show you why I'm worth the money. Let me pull a few things and see, and then I can be readily available." It gives you, even if they're starting to bring more in house, it gives you that opportunity to demonstrate your skills and show them why they should still keep you as a sublet.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Agreed.
so I appreciate your time. Check out the podcast, and don't jump off real quick because we gotta let everything upload. It's Riverside. I'd like to remind everybody at the end. So
Yes.
thank you for listening, everybody that's out there listening. Thank you for your time, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time.
Okay.